Hello.
Welcome back, everybody, to the next episode. Woo!
Once again, it's Higurashi time.
Yeah.
You already knew that. I think what I would love to talk about right now.
What is it? Is it life?
I've been going through, and we're currently editing the end of Watanagashi. Because we caught up a bit over the break.
The best arc, objectively.
But wait, you're saying that?
No, I'm saying ironically.
Oh, okay.
There's a big difference.
Okay, just making sure. I was very surprised. Took me a second. But I did very much enjoy how that arc kind of like spread itself out a bit more. Not to say that I enjoyed it being longer, but I found that like when we were getting to the end and I was like, oh god, you know, this is part 17 and a bunch of stuff hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
That was a really fun way for that to play out.
Yep.
But I noticed when I was kind of double checking over the recordings of Higurashi yesterday, just to kind of jog my memory after we finished the previous video, that Higurashi's kind of done the opposite, where everything seems to be coming to a head a lot sooner.
Yeah, we haven't even had the festival yet, and things are going awfully wrong. You could argue that the barbecue, I guess, is kind of like, this is the big happy celebration moment. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, it should be exciting to get to the festival. I almost feel like what's going to happen this time around is that the arc is going to conclude maybe on the night of the festival.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Because we haven't even really had a mention of like, oh, the festival's this weekend yet, which gives me an impression that it's actually further away.
Maybe.
Almost like, you know, whoever's going mad, they're going to commit what happens on the night of the festival rather than dragging it out in the days following.
It would be very different
from
the usual story.
But that's just kind of what the pacing is implying to me at the moment, and I'm really enjoying how much of a different stroke we're getting with that this time around.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have talked to me about how this is their favorite arc, and they question me when I say that's the one that out of the question arcs, it's the one that I definitely remember the least of. Probably once again, character biases, but like, yeah, I don't know. I had a really strong impression of Arc 1 and arguably Arc 4, but Arc 3 never really stuck with me for that long, and I'm not sure why. I'm interested to see what else is in the VN that wasn't in the anime. Maybe more of that stuff of why it attracts so many people will be, further on.
Yeah, I think perhaps the other thing with this arc is that it seems as though we're focusing a lot more on the downsides of characters. Like, Oishi's just not fun this time around. Irie is kind of goofy and he's a cool new character, but he's still put in the side character slot, and every time he appears, he's like, look at me being silly. I am a transition into a serious scene.
Yay! Love him.
And, even though we've had the whole gentle moments with Satokko and Rika at the start of the arc, that's more or less gone, it seems, at this point. So there's a lot less to be attached to in this arc unless you're attached to the themes.
I guess so, which, I don't know, it's been a while since I've watched the anime, but I would say I was attached to the themes. I definitely felt them by the end of a certain point.
Given the way that I read this story and know you, I feel as though this is the arc that, this arc to you is what the beginning of episode 4 of Umineko was for me. Where I was like, I consciously understand and know what the themes are. I'm following and I'm enjoying myself, but it wasn't until towards the end of the arc that I was like, okay, I'm on board.
Maybe
this is what's happening.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of difficult for me because as I've said, this is the arc that made less of an impression on me. It's difficult for me to remember how I was feeling when I was reading it, or I guess watching it.
Yeah, especially because it was a lot longer ago than it was when we were doing Umineko and you'd just finished reading it when we started.
Yep, for sure. Speaking of which, do you have any idea who's speaking right now?
Absolutely none, sir.
Because, normally when we see just a blank screen, it's Keiichi, but there has to be a Hojo-san.
Yes.
So, one of the kids, maybe?
We get 50 points if it's Keiichi's dad.
I am willing to take that bet, sir. I am willing to take that.
Ryukashi can have 5 points if it's anybody else.
Okay. Why would we do that?
Because we have, we gotta put some money on the table. You can't. Have you ever done gambling, Ben?
Yes.
You can't just not put money in to get money back.
You know what?
Even though we are the house in this case.
We're against ourselves. Why would we do that? We're literally the house betting against ourselves.
Because the audience is the gambling review board that will tear us to shreds.
Right. So as soon as they're out of here, it's scamming everyone.
Scam everyone.
Yeah. So as soon as you audience leave, don't worry. Then the real gambling starts. So we make all the money.
All right.
But for now, 50 points if it's Keiichi's dad to us. Otherwise, Higurashi, you will reluctantly receive 5 points.
Okay. Take it away.
Is Hojo-san staying home today too? Fude-san, do you know anything? Keiichi's dad said. What?
Damn, we were so close. 5 points to Higurashi. Shout out to this music.
Oh,
the
it's
teacher's
beautiful.
voice wasn't critical, but Rika-chan hung her head, unable to answer, and I felt really bad for her.
Oh.
Teacher called Rika-chan up and they had an exchange in hushed tones at the dais. At first, Rika-chan said that Satoko's fever had grown worse, but everyone in class knew it was a lie. Because every day, Rika-chan brought Satoko's bento with her.
Right. Satoko-chan, I wonder what happened.
Don't ask me. I'm the one who wants to know most of all.
Presumptive, but I appreciate your positivity.
It was already the third day since Satoko's first absence.
This is what I was talking about in the intro about, like, there's no pressing deadline for the festival.
No.
It's just we have more and more days.
Yeah. Time just keeps passing. It's great.
I do find the timeline in this entire thing very confusing and inconsistent.
It's very interesting because in Onikakushi, it was like 3 days, I think, in total that like arc takes place over. And this one is like 3 days passed, 2 days passed, then another day went by. Like, much lengthier length of time. It's interesting.
Yeah. Ever since then, I haven't felt good. Until just last Sunday, everything had been so much fun. I reached out to Satoko like a real older brother, and we spent that time quietly but warm and comfortable. So why had it suddenly been flipped over? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that the world had taken a turn for the worse ever since Uishi arrived.
Wow.
Wow.
The
angel of death cometh,
and
he is very large.
I also do like that Keiichi was already feeling off before that, but now he's attributing it to Uishi.
You gotta find a source, right?
Interesting way to tackle that relationship this time around.
Thinking on it now, maybe the strange apprehensions plaguing me the night before Uishi arrived had been a sign. Rado Orishi, Oyashiro-sama's servant. Ah, shit, that's impossible. They can't decide Satoko will be the curse victim this year just because he showed up. It's what sort of slip-up had I committed to cause those fun times to end so suddenly? Yes, it was the day before Oishi appeared. Shion, Mion, and Rena had spoken of the curse surrounding Satoshi and his disappearance, and it was so sinister it gave me a bad premonition. Such a small thing was the slip-up that invited Oyashiro-sama's servant. It was absurd. I kept on groaning to myself that I would never accept it, ever. I obviously wasn't the only one suppressing my feelings. Mion and Rena were too. Everyone in the class was doing it. Rika-chan knew something about Satoko's situation, but she wouldn't tell us. Rika-chan still held a calm attitude like a cat basking in the sun. She was being unbelievably stubborn about this whole thing. She didn't want to tell us, and that wouldn't change no matter how many times we asked her. Everyone understood that, so nobody questioned her.
If Rika-chan won't talk, then we just have to wait. And she might not be talking because something not worth saying.
There was no persuasive power and reassurance given with an anxious face like that. Mion was being taciturn and just looked up at the sky with a somehow annoyed expression, forgetting that the roof was there in the way. I couldn't tell if she was unhappy that Rika-chan wouldn't talk about it with her own friends.
Looking out the window. She's in the protagonist, the manga protagonist seat up the back.
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
Looking out the window, waiting for adventure to drop in her lap.
I did love one of the places I stayed in New York had like a large window ledge that was perfectly wide enough to sit on, and I was sitting there fiddling with my camera looking out the window, and one of my friends walked into the room and just went, "Oh, it's too edgy," and left.
That's pretty great. There's a lone beam of sunlight lining up on you. Yeah, there it is.
I couldn't tell if she's unhappy that Rika-chan wouldn't talk about it with her own friends, or if she was concerned over Satoko's well-being. What about me? My anxiety was suffocating me day after day. If someone else were looking at me, then maybe I'd look annoyed like Mion did. Tap, tap. Someone tapped my shoulder. It was Tomada-kun and Okamura-kun.
Did they do one tap each, or did like one of them tap for the both of them?
I assume it was one tap each. They coordinated.
They did the thing
They
where
sure
they like
hive
do
mind.
one shoulder each, so
Yeah.
you go with your head.
Aw. They're so concerned about their future. Mayabara-san, do you have a minute?
Did your ball get stuck again? You guys have to get it yourselves this time. Don't rely on the older kids for everything. Didn't feel like going along with them, so I was a little unsympathetic with my response.
Aw. We heard a little interesting rumor.
That's not good.
A rumor?
Yeah, I just thought it might have something to do with that.
That?
With what?
A rumor about that. Satokko, they hadn't said that, but it didn't seem unrelated.
They didn't want to talk in the classroom, so they pulled me behind the school building, lending further credence to that thought.
Was this shady?
They pulled out their knives and started stabbing me.
Oh no.
Oyashiro-sama sends his regards.
Rip. There's like a letter left on his corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that was going to go into a lengthy gag that we could laugh about instead of this stressful, tense moment.
Well, if there's no music, it's not helping.
Back at the school was damp and humid like always. That is not an inviting atmosphere. Students didn't really come here because they wanted to.
Oh boy.
It might, however, have been the ideal location for trading knives into people's rib cages away from prying eyes.
I feel that. Yeah.
Tomodaku Nakamura-kun. These rumors, they're about why Satoko's absent, right?
We don't know if it has something to do with it, though, or maybe...
That just skipped. I didn't press anything.
What on earth happened to Satoko?
You know!
Is she sick?
Tell me!
Or could she be, like, really sick? What?
Is she sick, or is she double sick?
I mean...
Or triple sick?
I do understand the intention, but, like, surely we could have said that better, Keiichi.
Or injured or something.
No, actually, it's the opposite.
She's come down with a case of the uncle.
What? You made that joke last time.
I know, and I'm going to keep saying it until I'm proven right,
Okay,
so that I can demonstrate how amazing my predictive skills are.
Sure.
You're
You're just so talented,
so
Felix.
good at this.
Inflate his ego in the comments, guys. Get on it. I heard my grandma saying that she came to buy tofu at our shop yesterday. Oh, tell me this family runs a tofu shop.
Yes, and you'll even remember that they went shopping their last episode before they disappeared.
Foreshadowing. What?
Ada Nakamura-kun.
Yeah.
She went shopping
Oh boy.
to buy some tofu.
Sounds delicious.
My voice sounds so stupefied, even I can tell. It was understandable. I was very good at sounding stupefied. I was worried about what grave illness or injury she had, when the person herself had been out and about shopping for tofu. So how was she? Did she look okay? Was she wearing a mask like she was getting better? Or was she using crutches, or did she have bandages on her?
No, there weren't really any signs of sickness or injuries on her, but...
I should have felt relieved that it wasn't an illness or an injury.
Well, that's not...
Yeah, I'm sure
Sometimes
it's
injuries are on the inside, Keiichi.
What? Shush you.
But my anxiety wasn't going away, because Tomodaku Nakamura-kun's expressions weren't looking any better.
Oh boy. She apparently came to buy one piece of soft tofu, but my grandma said it was strange.
Strange. Why? Did she ask for tofurkey? What's wrong with buying soft tofu?
Ugh.
Irritated by how roundabout they were being, I had to desperately fight that irritation from creeping into my voice.
Well, Hoju and Fruta live by themselves, and they don't have that much money, right? So they only ever buy the cheaper forward kind of tofu. They never bought the soft stuff. It's the most expensive thing there.
So Satokko actually just won the lottery and is now living on her own off her gambling
So it's
fortune?
actually going to be a story about how we go to her and show her the power of friendship. And why she needs friends more than money.
Oh, that's
Guys,
so inspiring.
that's so Ryukushi, right? And
Soft
at the
or
end, they keep
hard?
the money.
They're both tofu, right?
And they keep the money at the end, and then they get that's their like reward for learning about the power of friendship.
I'm
is they get the
really
money.
feeling song references today. Like I keep
What?
I keep
Tofu.
not this, but like everything we keep reading, I'm like, oh, that's like this song, or like, wait, I said that like this song, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's me or if it's the universe, Ben.
I mean, it's probably both.
The universe revolves around me, so I guess that makes sense.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. What is the song that you're reminded of now?
Soft or Hard, they're both tofu, right? For some reason, reminded me of a Flamingo by Cara Cara Bonito,
Okay.
which is an absolute banger of a song if you haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it. No. What is it?
It's like indie pop verging on J-pop, and it's just a silly song with a fantastic hook.
Well, I guess we better link you in the description now. If you want to have a
absolutely
listen, get on it, nerds.
Also, for the record, this is the same day we recorded the Dumaneko episode where I referenced Little Big. So for those of you that are
Which
watching
we all
both
appreciate.
series,
Yeah. Go back about 20 episodes to Doom and Echo.
I don't think it's that long, but sure.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe she wanted to eat some great tofu or something. We are so distracted today.
It's all right. It's just because we're just so on the ball. That's why. Distraction equals content, Felix. More content, and more content is good content.
That's right.
Well, maybe, but...
I knew how transparent I sounded right then. This wasn't anything trivial, it was some kind of important clue. Not the cheap, firm clue, but the expensive, soft kind.
The expensive soft clue? Is that what you were going to say there?
I did it on purpose.
I know, but like... But you kind of say Klein, so I wasn't sure.
I did start to laugh at my own joke a bit too early. Yes, I am a failure of a comedian.
Oh, you should be ashamed.
Shopping not in the evening after school, but in the middle of the day. I couldn't figure out what those things meant. As I thought hard about it, Okamurakan took his turn to speak.
Me next. This is just a rumor, but apparently he's back.
Uishi? No.
Uishi's back!
So soon?
Oh boy.
He, who? Who's back?
Hojo's uncle. She's got a bad case of the uncles.
Wow, Ben, would you look at that? I was right.
Oh boy, you're a genius. You're a total genius. You took all the clues.
How could I
and
have
you made a
seen-
jigsaw puzzle of like gods in
How
front
could
of
I
our
have
eyes.
seen this coming?
You saw the future.
Sadako's uncle, right. I think Coach told me about it.
Coach!
Yeah, you know,
please.
like the fashion brand.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, their aunt and uncle had
yeah.
taken them in after Sadako and Sadashi lost their parents in the accident.
It was woven into the genes. Hojo's uncle, they say he skipped town last year, scared of Shirosama's curse. He's really scary and violent, like some kind of gang boss. I mean, member. Some kind of Yakuza tough or something.
You reckon he's part of the Sonozaki crime family's, like, syndicate?
Maybe.
Who knows? I don't know much about criminal
I don't know.
organizations.
I wouldn't know anything about this.
I
story.
don't. Ben spends his time with criminal organizations.
It's true. I do actually, so it's all right.
Everything Coach told me came back in bits and pieces. Also, did that say in bits in pieces?
Yay! The typos are real. I wonder if while Dodler is fixing the engine, if maybe the translators could go back to the previous arcs and update these graphical or these bugs in the wording. Grammar bugs. That's the word that I want to pick. Grammar. Why did I end up with graphics? Point is, I need to learn how to say my own English, and then the translators
Yeah,
need
we
to go
can't
back and
accuse
fix
them
this
of doing
shit.
anything wrong.
Right. The mean aunt and uncle who had tormented them all the time. I think he said that after their aunt was beaten to death by the deviant, he ran away to his lover's house in Akinamiya in fear of the curse. Why would she be staying home from school and shopping for soft tofu in the middle of the day just because her uncle came back? My underclassmen clammed up and looked downwards. There must have been some big hint buried in there. Even if I didn't understand, if I told Mion or Renner about it, maybe they'd know something. My bad, you two. You were nice enough to talk about it, and I started hammering you with questions.
Oh. No, it's okay. Now we know that she hasn't been in bed this whole time. Gravely ill. That's worth something, right?
And we'll never know who that was.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, is it Keiichi? We will never know.
That might be true.
Oh, maybe it was him.
I don't...
I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe I was right, is what I meant to say.
Right.
I think we're good. I think we're good on that one.
We're gonna take a point anyway.
Take a point.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah,
We're the
so good.
house.
I don't think we're winning, though. I don't think we're winning. But
Well, we did.
The house always wins eventually.
We did make a big point steal at the end of Watanagashi, I think.
I don't remember that, I'll be honest. What do we do? What do we steal it for? Go back and look it up and find out.
You can tell how much we love and cherish these points based on how closely we follow them.
Yeah, and how much we mention them in every single arc and episode that we do recaps for.
Honestly, when I'm editing and we don't have points for an entire episode, I'm like, yes! No extra cutting.
It's wonderful.
But it still won't. It will make the clouds over my mind fade away.
That's right. We do it for those of you who do care.
It's been 20 minutes and we've done about 10 minutes of series.
Yes, let's do it. My side over here.
Okamura cried wildly, pointing over my shoulders behind me. Startled, I turned around, and way on the other side of the schoolyard near the school gate, I saw a figure trudging forth.
Who could it be? Oh, her eyes don't look super good.
Oh, no.
I'm sure this will be fun. Oh, she looks Satokko.
I'm censoring that joke.
No, you can't. It's my joke. It's Hojo!
I burst into a run faster than I could speak.
You know what?
No, I'm pretty sure
I think we're fine. I think we're fine. Because he couldn't speak because he was running so fast, like a cheetah.
And
cheetahs don't speak, they pounce.
He also wouldn't have said Hojo.
It's true.
So,
I took it.
that, as quickly as possible, I could see with my own eyes that she was okay. Satokko! Satokko seemed to be taken aback by me shouting and running over to her.
Oh.
Oh, what is it, Keiichi-san? You surprised me with all the yelling and running.
Stupid enough about me already. 3 days, what happened, Satokko? I was so worried.
What a worrywart. It was only 3 days. You're such a worrywart, Keiichi-san.
Yeah.
From listening to her, she seemed like the normal Satokko, but I could tell she was clearly acting strangely. Her smile was somehow forlorn. And her complexion was bad for some reason.
Oh, not your complexion.
Oh, no.
Hojo, we all right? Were you sick or something?
Tamaki and Nakamura can both express their concerns. Just what happened anyway? 3 days. Do you know how worried I was?
Oh, I do so apologize. I was just giving the house a good cleaning. We haven't used it for a rather long time, so everything was covered in dust.
Huh? Satokko, what are you talking about? Why would you have to stay home from school to clean the house? Satokko didn't answer me. Instead, she passed by me and headed for the entrance.
Gosh, it is nearly about lunchtime, is it not? I'm just starving.
Certainly lunch break. I couldn't force her to stop after she told me she wanted lunch since she was so hungry. Well, whatever. Rika-chan's been bringing your lunch for 3 days now. You look like you can eat it today. Let's just go to the classroom and put everyone's minds at ease.
Yeah.
You're right. I suppose I may have caused everyone to worry. Sure is tough being popular.
And everything will be just fine.
Everything went back to normal.
Yay! Congratulations, Keiichi, you did it by believing in your friend.
And that's the end of the arc. I put a hand on Satoko's shoulder and we ran to the classroom together.
And then there's the beautiful CG of Keiichi putting his hand on Satoko's shoulder and they walk through a big door and there's a beautiful light they walk into. And
you ever tried running with your hand on someone's shoulder who's a different height to you?
It's very, I imagine you would smack them in the back of the head pretty quickly. What, have you tried that? You would tell me what your experience was?
It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work unless you've rehearsed it.
Cool.
So what I'm telling you is that Keiichi and Satokko have clearly rehearsed this. Or Keiichi's lying.
Or Keiichi just smacked her in the back of the head.
Up close, I was able to verify that Satokko looked somehow weak.
Well, this anxiety was supposed to go away when I saw her again. That's what I'd thought. But now I actually started to have quite different fears. What the heck happened, Satokko?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Everyone in the class, of course, reacted in the same exact way I had.
Oh, we worried about you.
I'm glad to see you well.
What were you doing for the last 3 days?
Jerry, get up off the floor. I know you're dead. I've had it.
Pull your bloated carcass out of here.
Our classmates showered her in questions.
I truly do apologize for causing a fuss.
As she cackled, she chowed down on the bento Rika-chan had made for her. Those in the teacher's lounge must have been informed of Satoko's arrival because our teacher sprinted into the classroom, her breathing ragged.
Oh.
Hojo-san!
See, she's a teacher who cares.
Oh, Sensei! I'm sorry for worrying you these 3 days. As you can see, I'm fit as a fiddle.
Flexes and just the arm flops.
All droop, yeah.
I was very worried about you. When you're done eating, come right to the teacher's lounge. I have a lot to talk with you about.
Yeah. She cares.
I must be in for a good scolding for these 3 days I cut class.
Satokko laughed sheepishly while she scratched her head as the rest of the class burst out into laughter. The teacher was acting angry, but she breathed a sigh of relief at seeing Satokko healthy and smiling as she ate her lunch with the class surrounding her. What a relief, right, Rena?
Huh? Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm glad she's okay.
I looked at Renner and knew. She had a sense that something about Satokko was off too. She looked to see me undetached from the clamor as well, with a somewhat grim expression. But Rika-chan, on the other hand, was smiling from ear to ear. She spread out the bento boxes one by one as Satokko finished them. Finally, Satokko was satisfied, and after enjoying a thorough conversation with her classmates, remembered that she'd been called to the teacher's lounge.
It's such a pain, but I think she'll be angry if I don't go.
I'll go with you.
Satokko rose from her seat and Rika-chan ran over to her.
I do apologize, Keiichi-san. I'll be right back after getting scolded.
In the present tense?
Yeah. Right. I mean, I could go with you too. We're all comrades in getting scolded with the teacher's lounge ever since the curry incident, right?
Wait.
The curry incident? That didn't happen in this arc.
Did it? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know, maybe.
There have been too many curry incidents. We had the competition, No, I think it was this episode. I'm pretty sure it was this arc.
Oh, right, there was a curry incident.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't remember what it culminated in, though. It's been too long since we played that particular game, but I believe it ended with, like, Rika and Satokko and Keiichi all going to, like, do something horrible.
Yes.
Didn't they, like, shout at the principal or something? What did they do? Oh, it's been so long. Go back and find that episode and tell me.
Tell him in the comments.
Tell me in the comments! That won't be necessary. Keiichi should mind the place while we're away.
Gotta keep the ravenous wolves off these peasants. Rika-chan's words were gentle, but the firm rejection was clear in her eyes. The two of them exited into the hallway, walking shoulder to shoulder. After seeing them off, the class breathed a collective sigh of relief, broke apart, and went back to their usual lunch break banter. We, however, couldn't go back to how we usually were. Not I, not Mion, and of course, not Rena. They stared at the classroom exit that Satokko and Rika-chan had left through, their expressions a little distant and grim. We're all friends, isn't that right? I blurted out something strange, so Mion and Rena turned around with dubious expressions. I won't keep anything from my friends, so I'll tell you what I just heard a little while ago. I told them the stories I had from Tomoda and Okamura-kun earlier, about the tofu shop and how Satoko's uncle had apparently come back. All at once without letting them speak. And that's all I know. So if either of you knows anything, please say so. I've said everything I can. I ended my sentence firmly and looked into Mion and Rena's eyes in turn. Rena stared right back at me. Her eyes didn't falter. Without even opening her mouth, I could tell she wasn't hiding anything. Then our gazes turned to Mion.
It's not like I was trying to keep it a secret or anything.
Mion couldn't seem to endure our silent stares and began to talk timidly as if she was guilty or something.
It's just now that you've said something, Kei-chan, I guess I have to talk about it.
Mi-chan, you know something?
Well, I mean, I knew from the first day that Satoko's uncle had come home. That he just randomly showed up in Hinamizawa last Sunday.
Why didn't you tell us that?
I'm sorry.
My angry shout caused Mion to flinch, look down and hang her head uncomfortably.
Keiichi-kun, it's nothing to get angry about. You're scaring Mi-chan.
Sorry, I shouted at you. I lowered my head in apology. Mion accepted it, collected herself, and continued. According to her, her uncle's relationship with his lover, whom he'd been with in Akinomiya, had collapsed. Without anywhere to go, he went back to home in Hinamizawa.
And on that Sunday, the day of the barbecue, her uncle ran into Satokko and brought her back to the house.
Why did he bring her with him?
Because he's a good-for-nothing parasite. Can't even cook by himself, much less do any cleaning.
But he brought Satoko-chan back to have her cook and clean?
I remembered that she said she'd been cleaning the house when I met her back at the school gate. A moment later, the pieces fell into place, into the jigsaw puzzle of unease. And as for what the puzzle depicted when I saw it from afar, I could see the answer clearly.
Satokko was locked up at home and tormented into doing the housework. Those are the rumors. Creepy sounds.
I'm not a fan of this.
If you knew that, why didn't you speak up? I nearly yelled at it, Mion, but hastily stopped myself.
Mi-chan, is that true?
I haven't seen it myself, so I don't know if it's true or not.
Mion looked down again and staring at the floor grew quiet.
Just like last year. Like when they lived with their mean uncle and his wife.
But this uncle is completely helpless when it comes to housework, right? If Satoko's that important, then there wouldn't be any reason to torment her, would there?
Keiichi-kun, I don't know what grounds you have for saying that, but you shouldn't be so irresponsible.
I mean, I read that as Keiichi just trying to be positive.
Rena clearly and directly got mad at me. You don't know much about this, so don't talk, though you do. Yeah, that's... You don't know much about this, so don't talk as though you do. Yeah, that's clearly what she meant. Fine, then do you know something, Rena?
I don't know anything either. I don't know. I didn't know her uncle had taken her to the house until hearing it just now. But the situation is different from a year ago.
Situation is different? What does that mean?
Satoshi-kun isn't here.
Satoshi really cared about his little sister. He always stuck up for her. He was her shield so that she would be affected just a little less by their aunt and uncle's fighting.
The mean uncle and Satokko-chan are the only ones living there now. Can't you imagine how staffing that must be? Keiichi-kun, he only even came back because of his broke up with the woman he was staying with. Grandma.
Yeah, that's,
Because of his. Or because he broke up. Yeah. It's weird. There are a lot more typos in this arc.
I don't know
than
if
the
that's a
previous
typo or if that was just a, like, misintentioned abbreviation.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because his broke up with the only
Like,
with
his,
the woman.
his relationship or whatever, I suppose.
Maybe. I don't know. If anybody knows that this is a real sentence, leave it in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to fix this would be he broke up with the woman he was staying
Absolutely. I don't think that's a real sentence. But anyway. He only even came back because of his breakup with the woman he was staying with. Do you think a person who came back for such an unpleasant reason wouldn't be able to treat Satokko-chan kindly?
She was right. It wasn't easy for me to imagine Satokko not being tormented. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry too. I sounded like I was interrogating you, didn't I? How?
An awkward atmosphere floated amongst us. The three of us remained silent and just stared at the floor.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward, like, let's talk about uncles and pasts and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's bring all the information out into the open. It's awkward.
Finally, we heard the principal's bell ringing. The teacher came back with Satokko and Rika-chan at her side.
I feel like
Yeah.
we should get the principal his own special bell. Just
Yeah.
like it says the principal's bell.
Ding, 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 ding. The little
and
cat bell.
It just starts playing like Waltzing Matilda or something like
I
that.
guess that works too. That's, you know what? I would have had to be a cat bell because he needs one of those, like, put around his neck. But Waltzing Matilda works very well. Inspiring music.
It's wonderful music. I don't know who this is. I feel like because they've just mentioned the principal,
It's gotta be. It's gotta be
Right.
Principal. There's no sprite there. It's probably not Chie.
I
Unless
hope
it is.
so. If it is,
We get
3 points.
3 points to us?
3 points.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, we're starting afternoon class. Class president, please.
Everybody stand up. And they're not gonna tell us.
They're not gonna tell us.
God damn it.
Great. Higurashi, why?
I'm sorry, how rude of me.
I couldn't read anything from Satoko's vaguely sheepish expression, but given the clouded look Rika-chan was wearing behind her, it was tough to laugh off the disquieting story I'd heard from Mion.
It's just a establishing shot of outdoors. Just
Woo!
waiting.
Favorite screen.
The whole establishing shots thing is still just not working.
It's great. What do you mean? The transitions are not awkward at all.
Alright. First time in a while everyone's been here. Let's have a roaring good time with the whole club.
Yeah, perfect. Indeed, in times like these, the best thing to do is obviously get rowdy and scheme against one another in a club activity.
I'm sure that it'll work fine and no one will be unenergetic or anything. Yeah, let's put everything into it, guys.
Nothing like being energetic when you're depressed.
Just what I was waiting for. Hey, Satokko-chan, let's play. Get all fired up and stuff. Let's go.
That was that game you liked, wasn't that? What was it again? It doesn't matter which. Tell me. Tell me.
Mion laughed happily, took a bunch of games out of the club locker and lined them up on the desks. I think that was the first time Mion's ever let someone else decide on a game for her.
Oh.
I could tell she was being especially considerate to Satokko, thinking that whatever her circumstances, if we could just enjoy our time together as a group, that might be some comfort, some diversion. Satokko seemed to understand her feelings too and smiled vaguely, though pleased. As though pleased? Is that meant to? But her head slowly moved from side to side.
I'm very grateful, but your feelings are enough. There are many things I need to do, sir.
No.
Even Rika-chan hung her head in remorse.
Scream.
Hey, whoa, seriously? All the club members are here for once and we're not playing anything? Desertion in the face of the enemy. What was the punishment game for? What part of the club constitution was that in?
Mion, please. Stop it, Mi-chan. We can't force to play with us.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can. It's in the Constitution. The club Constitution of the 5 Demons.
Hey, this old man isn't trying to force her or anything. I just thought it would be more fun, for sure, if we did something exciting.
Really, I'm happy you feel that way. Don't worry, next week, mate, you'll see. I'll get you all caught in a gigantic trap.
There's one right outside. And it's just a giant lion mouth.
I really hope that
Yeah.
Tepe just dies in some, like, horrific trap.
Uh-huh.
It'll be fantastic.
That's finale. Satokko sets up like a devilish,
because that way,
Rube Goldberg machine that ends in Tepe being slaughtered, and put in the
Brilliant.
meat cans, and yeah, then we eat them.
Satokko, while insulting us, still said she couldn't participate in the club today and apologized. She quickly put her things into her bag and padded out into the hallway, disappearing. It all happened in the blink of an eye.
Satokko.
Rika-chan stared lonesomely as her friend hurried home, unable to be part of club activities. Silence filled the classroom.
Well,
Both the cheerful voices of our classmates in the schoolyard and the voices of the cicadas sounded like they were coming from some faraway world.
Well, this is boring.
Silence was broken by Mion's bitterness. She began putting the games on the desk back into the locker.
I've never had her, like, say a line like that. She's never ever said something like that in the entire time that we've known her.
I think that is accurate.
It's just... I don't know how to, like, explain it. It's just... She's never given up in the entire, like, series of arcs that we've been in. This is the first time we've been like, you know what? Maybe that's enough. Usually, like in Arc 1, she was like, hey, K-Chan, where you going? Like, let's play games. I don't think we've ever seen this side of her, I guess.
I'm interested into what it shows in the broader scope, or if we're, like, getting back into the which Sonozaki is it game.
Man.
Like, it's clearly not a focus, but it's nonetheless a possibility.
Sure.
But yeah, it is interesting. Oh,
It's just something that kind of poked out at me, because... Yeah, more stuff in the VN.
definitely
back.
does stand out.
Yeah.
Everyone just stared absently at Satoko's seat, now empty.
Rika-chan, maybe you could tell us about it now.
Rena made as gentle a smile as she possibly could and spoke softly to Rika-chan. Even without hearing it from her, we pretty much knew the situation at this point. Satoko's uncle had broken up with his lover and come back home to Hinamizawa. He had taken Satokko back home and forced her to do all the household work. And that all had to be pretty rough on her. Thinking this was common knowledge to everyone, I skipped to the important part.
Is it really bad? Maybe Mion and Rena wanted to ask the same question. Nobody spoke, we just stared, waiting for Rika-chan's reply. Rika-chan still didn't answer us. We were hoping for her to say no, but her silence was a bad enough sign. Last year, was it? It was like this when both her uncle and his wife were here, right?
Yeah. At the time, they were mostly just being caught between their aunt and their uncle fighting. One of the ways we helped out was with the club, by reducing her time at home as much as we could, but...
He's making her do the chores now, so she can't stay at school either.
Shit. Satoko's not a slave? Who do you think you are, ignoring your own inability to live properly and basically putting Satokko under house arrest? When you think about it, isn't this really strange? Need a lot of circumstantial evidence, but isn't this abuse? Can we notify the police or something?
You're right. If we had evidence she was being abused, I think we could tell the police. And can't we talk to the region's welfare people about this?
Reno and I kept saying police, police, as though it were nothing, but Mion's response sounded like she thought we were a little naive.
It's easy for you to say that. Have you thought about the risks of actually getting proof?
What do you mean, risks?
I think it was 2 winters ago. We reported it to the Child Consultation Center. We told them there was abuse happening and to do something right away.
Oh, you did? What happened?
The person came as soon as we called. He interviewed Satokko and Satoshi about what was going on. And their uncle and his wife, too.
I can understand asking Satokko and Satoshi, but wouldn't it be not so good to talk to the aunt and uncle?
They said they'd base their judgment on what they heard from both sides. Great of them, wasn't it?
So what did they decide to do?
Wait and see.
What do you mean, wait and see?
The uncle really studied up on this stuff. By law, you can't call it abuse unless someone admits to assault and child neglect. They poked and prodded Satokko and Satoshi a lot, but it never left any real marks on them. They were pretty much eating 3 meals a day and had beds. There weren't any recordings or something like that to prove they'd said or done anything to cause them psychological trauma. None of the villagers had ever actually seen them being violent either. No matter how mean you are, you wouldn't act so violent in front of other people. Nobody would.
Then, what happened?
The welfare officer apparently went to visit on the same day each week for a while. The aunt and uncle Knew they were being watched, though, and didn't torment them in any way that would stand out. Of course, that wasn't the end of it.
You mean they ramped up how malicious they were being?
Neon sighed and nodded.
Their aunt was really damn stubborn. She's one of the most spiteful people I've ever known. Apparently she was doing some pretty disgusting things. Satokko was like a doll that did nothing but breathe by the end of it.
So what? From that conclusion, does that mean they should never have contacted child welfare in the first place?
Understand? Without proof of abuse so clear that anyone could see it, there's nothing we can do. In fact, it might even make the situation worse. We messed up pretty bad.
After hearing that even public organizations, the one thing they thought was dependable, couldn't do anything, everyone hung their heads.
In other words, until we have clear evidence of abuse, we shouldn't notify anyone.
Well, I mean, basically, yeah.
I considered Satokko's current situation. She was brought back to her house. It was a little difficult to call that abuse. She was being tormented and forced to do the chores. How she was being tormented would be the key, but without concrete evidence, it would be difficult to prove. If she had some kind of external injury, that would work. But as far as we could tell from today, she had nothing like that. And being forced to do the chores, that was a bit weak too. Had to be better evidence that she was without a doubt being abused. Ah, I know. Our uncle had ignored Satokko's existence for a whole year and went to live with his lover in town. Didn't that fall under one of the definitions of abuse that Mion had mentioned? Child neglect?
Yeah, it's a perfect case of child neglect. What about that, Mi-chan?
If her uncle weren't here now, it could be recognized as child neglect. But he's living with her at the moment, isn't he? They were apart before, but if he said something like he had a change of heart and decided to live with her, then they might just wait and see again.
Once you reported it, we'd need to be absolutely sure they'd interpret it as abuse. Maybe we needed far more concrete evidence, lest we repeat last year's mistake.
Yes, well, it's sad. This means we need to sit quietly and wait for him to be violent towards Satokko-chan, leave a mark, don't we?
Or just kill him ourselves!
The only plan I could think of was, in the end, just watching and waiting. It left me in shock when I realized it'd be the same policy as that of the officials who had made the situation worse. As Mion said, reporting it to a public agency would be a gamble. If we're gonna pick a fight, it'd have to be one we couldn't afford to lose. If we were gambling without enough money, without enough evidence, our defeat would be assured. If we took the time to amass enough money that we could be sure of victory, and that would mean pretending we didn't see Satokko's plight for a considerable amount of time. Sorry for bringing this up now, but how's Rika-chan able to live by herself? Rika-chan had lost her parents, if I recalled correctly. From what I'd heard, she had no relatives either. She was forced to live on her own as a result, but her life was unfettered, free of restriction. If she could somehow grant that freedom to Satokko, too. I mean, Rika-chan, you're living without any parents, right? Don't kids with no guardians have to go to orphanages and stuff?
Keiji-kun, that's cruel.
I'm not saying it to be mean. I only asked because I thought maybe there would be a hint to saving Satokko. Rika-chan, sorry if I offended you. Rika-chan shook her head, not particularly disturbed.
Well, you see...
You didn't see it, but her mouth...
I didn't even notice!
Her mouth went to
That's all right,
smile.
that's all right, I
That
got
was
this.
the whole clue.
Oh my god. Well, you see, it's because I'm considered the mayor's daughter.
Let me explain. The mayor, Old Man Kimiyoshi, is Rika-chan's guardian. He got official permission from the governor of the prefecture.
Huh. So you're adopted?
No, not adopted. You can be someone's guardian without being in the same family. Oh, I get it. Rika-chan lives by herself, but by law, she's considered to live with the mayor, right?
Now, I do understand the perspective from which that is said. However, is it not the same as Teppei being her guardian? Like, there doesn't seem to be any logical distinction between that.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
They're like, you know, oh, you're adopted. No, you're not adopted. You can be someone's guardian without being in the same family. Like, to me, that's the same plane of thinking as
I guess so? What do you,
Teppei being her guardian.
You know, Teppei is blood related, so he's automatically her guardian, and then the Kimiyoshi thing has been
Well,
some legal stuff going on there. What do you mean? What's your problem with that? I don't understand.
I don't really have a problem with it. It's just interesting to me that it was, like, pointed out specifically.
Yeah, I
'Cause
guess.
to my mind, if I was to describe Teppei, I would say he is Satoko's legal guardian.
Sure.
So the fact that they've specifically pointed out this relation with Rika is an interesting standout point.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the kind of thing, like, there have been a bunch of things, especially with Rika, like, a lot with Rika, of things that I just thought were a given that the story points out, and I wonder if that implies something more. Like, if there is something significant we should read into about why Kimiyoshi is Rika's guardian above anyone else in the village.
I mean, she's looked after because she's like part of one of the three families. She's the only like living descendant.
Don't get me wrong, but that's the kind of thing, right? Is that if they hadn't come out and said it, that would have just been the assumption. But because they've said it, it implies to me that there's something else going on.
I guess so. So you want to take that?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. That's how Rika-chan avoids being sent to an orphanage. Actually, it would be Child and Family Services, not an orphanage.
Me, I don't understand the hard things, but anyway, she's right.
Interesting you should say that, Mion. You can be someone's guardian even if they're in another family. Then shouldn't we have the mayor or someone else become Satoko's guardian if only on paper? And she'd be in the same position as Rika-chan, and she could go back to her old life.
Too bad it won't work. I mean, her uncle is supposedly her guardian.
Wait a minute. You lost me there. What's a guardian exactly anyway?
In legal terms, a guardian and a parent weren't necessarily synonyms, so whoever was actually looking after her at home would be considered her guardian.
And her uncle isn't her guardian. He left Satoko by herself for so long.
But if he insists he's her guardian, then that's it. It's been a few days since Satoko was taken back to her house. Her uncle's been paying for her meals since then, right? He is sort of looking after her, so he'd probably insist, and even though he abandoned her for a year, he'd already looked after her for the whole year before that. The mayor doesn't have that kind of history.
So then if both the Mina uncle and the mayor requested guardianship at the same time, the uncle would make more sense.
No, but he'd have a better chance. The term guardian refers to the person actually caring for her, right? The uncle actually has a bed and food for her, but the mayor would just have his name. Wouldn't even be a contest.
And shouldn't the mayor just start caring for her for real? He'd be her guardian in name and reality if he did. We just needed to shelter Satoko. If only there was some person who presented himself as an option in this story somewhere. God.
I feel like there was someone who could look after her.
If only! We just need to shelter Satoko. That might lead to her uncle being desperate to take her back, but we'll stubbornly refuse him.
It won't be that easy. Satoko's a growing girl, you know. It's not like giving someone a cat. You're asking him to care for a real person.
Then Coach, what about Coach? Coach, I don't know, he's got a lot of money, right? He's even said it himself. Even he's not her real father. Coach could become a guardian. He'd be great at taking care of her.
Stop that. Stop thinking of Satoko like a pet. All you're doing is talking about pushing her onto someone else. You need to think more seriously about how much responsibility it is to care for another human being. Did you ask him? Did you get an actual promise from him that he'd take Satoko under his care?
Oh, yes, I did, but I'm supposedly ignoring that right now. No, I didn't, but Coach would definitely say yes.
Well, fine. Even considering the 0%... Why is Keiichi just, like, ignoring that whole scene? I guess he did say that he'd keep it a secret.
Part of it was, the secret. Part of it, they were, like, joking around, but,
I guess.
I think that the purpose of this scene, obviously, like, we know that Ryukishi he was a social worker before he was writing, or maybe while. So this scene, I think, more than anything, like, pointing out how guardians work and, like, comparing Kimiyoshi and Teppei and all this stuff, it's, like, a huge part of this is to explain how that works in Japan, right?
Yeah.
How abuse works and how social working works. Because he's a big fan of criticizing those systems. Usually it's to do with schoolyard bullying, but this is a little bit of a different scope, I think. But yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I want to kind of bring attention to, because you're right, like, maybe they should explore that, they should go to Coach and, like, maybe that's how we can resolve this, but I think that communicating the hopelessness of, like, the system and, like, how it's set up is definitely, like,
and I do think that, like, the other main theme that I've noticed, aside from the whole friendship thing in this story and solidarity,
the friendship thing, whatever,
is hopelessness.
Yeah,
like, the entirety of Arc 1 for Reno was just like this hopeless battle with Keiichi. The entirety of Arc 2 for the Sonozaki twins was just this, like, this struggle for them to, like, fit in, I guess, would be the briefest way to put it.
For Arc 2, like, for me, a lot of it was also about Keiichi, like, not knowing what to do or how to fix things.
Yeah,
being told, like, there's a problem we're being hunted, Kei-chan. What do we do? And then Kei's like, I don't know. What can we do? He just doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this obviously, and also a big theme that's kind of being presented because we're looking from Keiichi's perspective is like, I'm an outsider. I don't understand how this stuff works. How can I affect these systems that are in place if I don't like know how to enter them or how to interact with them? And here we have Mion kind of telling him, even if you do have the information, it's difficult. But yeah.
Well, fine. Even considering the 0% probability of Coach saying it was okay, then what? Still wouldn't work. He couldn't become a guardian all by himself.
Yeah, that's right. Coach didn't he say it himself? He was alone, so he couldn't do it. Shit, what the hell? Why is being single such a disadvantage in this society?
Pause for effect.
Then all you could do is marry into a wealthy family, couldn't you?
Is there anyone that wealthy now, Miss Al? Your parents, maybe. I'm not sure. What?
Hold on, you're saying Keiichi's parents?
Yeah, they're like an artist for a father. Surely he gets the big bucks.
Dude.
I'm just saying.
I do, now that you mention that, I would love it if what Oishi intended in the previous chapter was actually that, to say like, oh, Keiichi, you know how your parents are rich and wealthy and accomplished. If only there was some place she could go, but Keiichi's interpreting it as this threat.
That'd be pretty great, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
See? It's not simple. It's hard to adopt someone. You can't go into it thinking you'll push Satokko into someone else just for a little while. You're being naive, Kei-chan.
Shit, damn it. What the hell? I'm desperately thinking of how to save Satokko, and all you're saying is no. Don't you care about Satokko at all? You even worried about our friend one bit? What do you have to say for yourself?
I didn't mean that, but it just won't be that easy.
It's not that difficult a problem. We just need to have some rich people to look after Satokko for a while, that's all.
Just gotta find some rich people.
Just find some rich people.
And take their money.
Right, what about your family, Mion? You always brag about how great it is being one of the 3 families or whatever, don't you?
Does she? Brags about it as often as I complain about this audio peaking. Which is not this arc.
Not that often. I was gonna say.
From what you've said, you must live in a gigantic house.
My house? No, that won't happen. My grandma would never allow it.
And what about your relatives in Akinomiya? From what I heard, they're living in luxury themselves. There's plenty of shops your relatives manage in town too. Your family are basically millionaires, aren't they?
No, that won't work. Going to Akinomiya is even more out of the question. My father, he'd never let it happen, ever. Hey. Welcome to Higurashi.
I'm scared. What's happening? Why is there weird sound effects?
I don't know.
Hey. Normally you act like some high and mighty bigwig and now you're being all spineless. What the hell? You just gonna sit by and watch Satokko suffer?
I wasn't ready for this sound effect to come back.
I know.
That's I don't, but I mean, I won't help her as much as you, but that's a different story.
How's it a different story? How can you be so cold-hearted? Wada Nagashi's past. You've already had your time to be evil. Your friend is in trouble. What are you if you don't rescue her?
Pull me on.
You're our president, our club president. Save her. Save her from this crisis. If you don't save her right now, you're not her friend. You're not even human.
Ooh.
I don't know if you have any humanity left in you. Are you listening to me, Mion?
Shout out to Wada Nagashi. Oh boy.
My emotions all exploded out of me. And I didn't even give her a chance to say anything in response. I just wanted to make Mion agree with me even if I had to force her. If she did, Satoko's problems would be solved. If pushing her would solve the issue, then I'd push her as much as I needed to. Why aren't you saying anything anymore? I'm asking you, asshole. Well, say something, Mion Tsunezaki!
Me?
Okay.
Oh.
Mion, looking down with a grim face, began sobbing. Her hands were clenched in a trembling fist and she rubbed her eyes to wipe away the tears. Is what I said actually that mean? This isn't the time to cry. We're in the gambling room now. See, I told you, Ben. And we have to do something to save Satokko.
Awful.
And as I thought that, Rena spoke, her voice cold and incredibly calm.
Keiichi-kun, if Mi-chan's family won't work, then what if we look for another wealthy family? I know someone in Hinamizawa who lives in a nice, big house.
Make it happen.
Do it!
Who's that?
Who could you be talking about?
Who's that
Who and I
Pokemon?
think alike. Ren and I, we know what's up. Keiichi, you're a selfish prick. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, come on. You got a splendid family, and you're leaving it out of things?
My family? My family is... dead.
Your friends. What? Your friends, right? Save her, Keiichi-kun. Mi-chan is cold-hearted after all. Since you are so considerate towards friends, you should lead by example.
Oh my god, what is happening?
God, I love her.
Not even that, but like, I'm not sure if this is out of character or in character, or Keiichi's like misreading the scene, or like I'm getting the feeling based on this sound effect and this entire scene that Keiichi's the one going mad this episode again.
Maybe.
But does that mean that we're down to unreliability already?
Nothing like visually seems to be going wonky, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's a great question, isn't it?
Ugh.
Just the three of you are living in that huge house, right? Then you probably got plenty of spare rooms.
I'm 2 stories tall, Renner. We can't just fit more people in.
In the garage, then!
That's where I live.
That's my room. I live in the back of the car. It's a very tall car.
Very tall.
It's a limousine, but it's like stood up. Anyway, then you probably got plenty of spare rooms. We should just give a few of the empty ones to Satokko-chan, and then her words would all be over. What's this? We're done already. That was pretty quick. Okay, great. Congratulations on solving the problem. Then we're done for today. I'm going home. Hooray, hooray! Maybe I'll go treasure hunting. I haven't done that in a while. I was so worried about Satokko-chan until now that I didn't feel like going to play at all. I wonder what I'll find today. Oh! Say something, will you? Why am I the only one talking? Say something! Say something, you bastard. Are you listening, Keiichi-maba?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, it's happening!
They're back, boys.
Even the cicadas seem to cower in fear, but yet that's the point that they started playing the sound effect. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Renner, her shoulders bobbing up and down, and me, who had forgotten to breathe. Mian, whose face had gone completely pale, and Rika-chan, who was keeping silent as if nothing had happened. The atmosphere in the classroom grew tight and stiff, and it petrified us where we stood.
Well, Ben, thanks for trying to mislead me with we've have no visual changes yet.
I haven't seen shit.
It's your job here, Ben.
There's one visual change.
I'm thanking you for your doing your job, Ben, and you're trying to dissuade credit for it. Rattle. The sound of the chair as Renna sat back down after having stood up finally allowed everyone present to take a breath. I normally don't leave silences in when I edit, but I'm going to leave this one in just for drama.
Sounds good.
Renna had shown me just how much I'd hurt Mion.
Renna's scary.
Whoa, hold on.
What?
I'm not okay with this, Rika. This is the first in-fiction confirmation we've had of this. I'm not okay with this.
I'm not okay with anything.
I'm not okay with this. Scariest thing that's happened this whole story. All 3 arcs. This line.
You're terrified. How's your heart doing? Is it racing?
It's racing, Ben.
What are you thinking, Felix? I want to understand your thought process right now. How you feeling?
When it comes to like the whole the madness, as will continue to call it until the goddamn story gives me a name for it, because it obviously has one, is where we draw the line between what's reliable and not.
Yep.
There are 2 kind of schools of thought that I'm juggling right now. On the broad scope, which is that either Keiichi is always afflicted by the madness and we only see it like escalate at certain points, or that there are only certain arcs in which he is afflicted by it. I feel like in the nature of repeating stories, it is more likely the former, but then that raises a lot more difficulties for saying like, when is the Keiichi's narration reliable or not?
Because you're arguing based on the like, oh, you're trying to mislead me, good work. You're arguing that Renna's attitude here is a result of said madness, but Rika is calling that out.
Yes, exactly.
So, was I trying to mislead you?
It could be. It also, like, Mion had the eyes appear and said weird things last arc, and it could be Renna thus that is afflicted by the madness. But given that Keiichi is also getting a bit wired, I don't think that it will be just Renna, at least.
Do you think that it is in character for Renna to get that mad about this sort of thing?
I don't think it is out of character.
Okay.
Is probably the most, like, succinct way of putting it.
So it's in character?
No.
Okay.
on the scale of into
It's
out of
on
character.
the middle of the character.
It's towards
It's like
the
on
middle.
the skin. It's like just below the skin.
Yeah, because
character.
as we had established in Arc 1, obviously Rena has been afflicted by this madness before. Mm-hmm. We've seen, or at least heard, of her actions in regards to that with the incident at her school outside of Hinamizawa. Mm-hmm. So it's not out of her character to do so, but at the same time, when I think of that, I'm not saying like, oh, Rena went and did this. It was Rena plus Madness went and did this. And like, where do I draw that line, and should I at all? Mm-hmm. One thing I commented on, I think in the Watanagashi first recap, was the idea that the madness is not making people who they are not, but amplifying certain parts of themselves. Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, the reason I say it's not out of character for Rena, but it's also not, like, in character, is because I see it that Rena would be harsh and direct, but I don't see her as, like, escalating to these kind of levels. And, maybe I'm just wrong, but at least to me, it does feel as though something extra is going on here, which is why it's so peculiar to have Rika just come in and say this. Because does this mean that this line is inserted from the perspective we're meant to be seeing it from, where things are being escalated? Does this mean that Rika knows more about this than she's letting on, which, given kind of the way she's played in the story, would honestly make sense, but I don't know how. Or, like, is Rika trying to actually diffuse the situation, but because of our perspective's interpretation, the joke of, like, gosh, Rena, scary you, has gone down as, oh my god, Rena's scary.
Maybe. Yeah.
So it's like there are so many layers to this puzzle, and this is like the reason this line is so terrifying to me is because it is like basically a giant neon sign pointing at the main trouble I have in, like, I guess, solving this novel at this point.
Sure. Yeah. Trying to pick out that line between what's reliable and unreliable narration, that sort of thing. Yeah. It's a bit weird.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
After a few moments, Rika-chan cut into the frozen air.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rika-chan. Me-chan, I'm sorry to you too. I don't have to apologize to you, do I, Keiichi-kun?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for being so unreasonable.
But you were saying all that to me before. You said it while glaring at me-chan, so I totally thought you were talking to her.
Rena had such strength that you wouldn't have imagined it normally. All I did was spout terrible things as a wave of violent fury passed over me. I couldn't contend with her. Mion, I'm sorry. I lost my cool. Come to think of it, I didn't understand what had gotten me that riled up. I thought of myself as Satoko's Nini, so I only had good intentions that I'd think about it a little harder than everyone else, and yet...
It's okay. You're worrying with everything you had. All I was saying was that nothing would work, so I'm sorry. I did something wrong too.
Mion rubbed away the tears at the corners of her eyes with her fists and apologized as well. We bowed our heads to each other and looked down without glancing at the other. Someone, I don't know who, heaved a sigh. Satokko being tormented had been known about since last year. How'd the tragedy back then save Satokko? How'd they brought it to an end?
With a baseball bat.
Nobody knows. Could be anything.
Could be any...
Could be any
One.
weapon.
No, they explicitly said it was a baseball bat. Sorry.
Shit!
Sorry, Ben. You can't bamboozle me too hard.
I can try.
You can try. Right. In the end, nobody could do anything. All they could do was bear it patiently and wait for the agonizing days to end. That's right. The one who brought an end to those terrible days was some crazy drug addict nobody knew.
I do like that this doesn't necessarily dissuade from the fact that it was Satoshi. Like, they continue making this character nameless. And, like, they've kind of tried to drum up other character aspects to it. And, it could just be like...
Choked on a spork.
Yeah, but, like, even just saying that, maybe Satoshi was a crazy drug addict. We don't actually know. it's almost like a threatening pretense to give him to say like, well, you know, maybe you're actually going to find out some real awful things about this guy down the line.
Maybe.
And you're not going to be surprised about them, but it is still going to hit you.
Yeah. I mean, what do we know about him anyway? Basically nothing.
Basically nothing. Definitely no foreshadowing. On the night of Watanagashi last year, their mean aunt had been beaten to death. But it hadn't been done to save Satokko or Satoshi, right?
It really was just a coincidence. Satoko's friends who needed to do something for him most of all could do nothing. The incident may have been a tragic one, but from Satoko's viewpoint, it was nothing less than a miracle. Yes, a miracle. A miracle one could only wait for. Is waiting all we can do? Not for evidence of abuse, not for something that minor.
Huh? Wait, for what?
A miracle. No one made fun of me for using such a crazy word. We couldn't come up with any solution, so it was the only thing we could do.
We're powerless.
And one word Mion dropped was the finishing blow. It was hot. My body was sticky with sweat. The worst month, June.
Damn. Yeah. June sucks.
Next time.
Next time.